Welcome in, Bleav in Commanders podcast. Scott Jackson and Anthony Armstrong. We are brought to you by FanDuel, part of the Bleav network. There he is, former Washington Redskin wide receiver number 13, Anthony Armstrong. Scott Jackson over here. And we've actually got some news today, Anthony. Please like, comment, and follow us on the socials. We appreciate that. And, of course, download it and share it with a friend if you could. The podcast. We appreciate you guys that are blowing up on YouTube, and we appreciate the comments, even the nasty ones. All right, so let's start with the big news. The Commanders, people have been saying this is the weakest position, and they needed help there, and they went out and addressed it. And, of course, I'm talking about cornerback. At least, yeah, everybody that's been paying attention knew the corner was a concern. They have gone out and gotten Rasoul Douglas, 1-year deal. Adam Schefter, I think, was the first one to report this. He spent the last season with the Dolphins, started 13 games, also was a former Eagle, third round pick rather, back in 2017. So guy's got a veteran guy who, by the way, played some good football last year. Anthony, wasn't like he was a huge liability or somebody that they were, destroying in coverage last year. So, and obviously somebody that I would imagine that Durante Jones felt comfortable with in his scheme. So plus checks there, and now they've added some much needed depth at this position.
Yes, indeed. That was that one that, we were all talking about. And frankly, if you look at the position, if you look at the height, that's one thing you always look at when you go and try to see, who you're going against. And then you see, a lot of guys are a little bit shorter, right? A little 5'9", 5'10" guys. Hey, I'm 5'10" and change. So nothing wrong with it. But
nothing wrong with that.
This league, when you're in this league, they kind of want to see if they can get a little bit of height and some size. So when they had brought in Achilleo Witherspoon earlier, that checked that box. But Rasoul Douglas does that as well. He's 6'2", all right, 6'2", about 200 pounds, 209, so a little bit bigger than that. And it kind of let you know that they were paying attention to that position through OTAs and through the offseason. And Rasoul's in one of those positions as a vet to where everybody expects you to keep yourself physically in shape, and then they expect you to make a quick transition to joining the team whenever you are signed. So, essentially meaning I can pick up what y'all are putting down, right? I've been in a lot of systems. I know what football is. It's not going to take a long time for him to adjust to what Durante Jones is trying to do. And so now this will be fun, go and look and see, what Rasoul has done in his career, hopefully using that size to his advantage. Maybe that says, hey, we want to get up in people's faces. We want to play a little bit more man and force the issue a little bit more, and having some size at corner can help with that, Scott.
135 NFL games. He's 31 years old. 21 picks in his career as well. And, again, 93 starts. He's been around in a lot of different systems. So, he's smart enough to pick the stuff up. Actually, was before Miami last year. He had a couple years in Buffalo as well. Green Bay prior to that. I think he's had to stop in Carolina after Philadelphia where he started his career. So, it was a need. I think there were some other names that came out. Certainly Trayvon Diggs early on was part of that. But, again, when they switched defenses, I kept saying to you, I was like, I don't know. We're assuming there's not a Dan Quinn defense anymore. And Diggs, obviously, hasn't been healthy. He had a short stint with Green Bay after the Cowboys let him go last year. They didn't keep him around. So, clearly, the play has not added up to what used to be the production for him in his recent stops, so people are comfortable moving on from him. And then you heard some other names, people that had played in Minnesota in the past, including Fabian Moreau, who, of course, was a former draft pick here a while back. So, but never heard about Douglas, and then, bam, this gets done today. So, yeah, it's exciting. Clearly, like you're never completely satisfied with everything when you have, especially an area where Amos, we hope he comes back healthy, right? If he comes back and looks like the kid we saw from the jump last year before the injury, you'll feel a lot better about the position. But this gives you some insurance if he's not ready right away, or if, he has any type of setbacks or what have you. This adds to the overall depth of this group, because otherwise, again, Sanders still, Amik Robertson, we had talked about. Those are two shorter corners, right? And as you just hit on, this guy's got some size and length. Witherspoon, who came over from the Rams as well, has got some of that too going for him. And we don't know, again, how the safeties are going to be incorporated in this defense quite yet.
Yeah, and this is also there's just a bit about it to where, they don't have pads on yet, right? A lot's going to change whenever they get into training camp after that, like third day when they finally can play press. They're just having to let stuff happen in front of them right now. So, now you're going to have somebody that's just a little bit more competitive. I pulled up some stats to compare Rasoul versus Amik Robertson. 135 games to 86. Rasoul puts the ball in the end zone. It's been a while since he's done it, but he has 3 pick sixes in his career, 21 interceptions versus 5, 39 solo tackles, got some sacks on him as well. So, and he's got a championship in his back pocket too. So, Rasoul Douglas is a really sneaky veteran pick, right? Doesn't mean that Amik Robinson doesn't have a place on this field, but they said that one thing is that they need somebody who gets their hands on the football and takes the ball away. 21 interceptions in your career, that's pretty damn good. So
I mean, we hear that a lot, right? With this with what we believe will be the Durante Jones system, similar to, of course, to Brian Flores. Is look, a lot of it's going to be you're going to force the quarterback to make some fast decisions. So a lot of these corners are just going to be keying on the quarterback, and we need ball skill guys. You've got a lot of ball skill guys back there now. Which is exciting if they can create these type of turnovers. If they can, of course, it all starts with the pressure, as we've been talking about. And they put a lot of money and resources in finding guys that can pressure the quarterback. And obviously, they're gonna have to scheme it up as well. So, I think it was again. We talked to I get it why the receiver position's getting all the headlines. Okay, the guy won't stop talking that everybody seems to be interested in, and then another guy happens to be from the area in Stephon Diggs. But all along, I'm saying, look, if I had to pick one or the other, get me another corner before get me another receiver, because I think that is a bigger concern right now. And again, if Amos comes out, checks all the boxes here early in training camp, then I'm like, okay, I can feel a little bit better, but you still need that depth behind him. And so, but they do have a type, right? Like they have a type of player they're looking at, and they're ball skill people, and that's why Sainristil, I'm so excited for him in year 3 here, because that was the big thing coming out of Michigan, and we saw it at times certainly throughout his first 2 years here with the Commanders. But that's where he excels as a former wide receiver, attacking that football and getting to it. And as you mentioned, Robertson as well, coming in here from the Lions. That was one of the things that he's been known for too.
Yeah, if you think about the lineup now, let's just assume Rasoul makes his way to be the starter, right? Sure. Now, let's say that gives us 2 big, tall corners on the outside that can hold it down and press. Then you get a Robertson or a Sainristil inside, and they can pressure off the edge. They're both feisty. They'll get up there and tackle somebody, but then they're also, I feel like they're smart enough to understand how the defense is rolling out, and maybe they can jump up underneath a couple of passes and deflect some things or create interception in those regards. So I feel if I was building a team and I was on Madden, and speaking of it, I just downloaded the new college football, and I got the Madden package too. It's been a few years. I sent a little.
Look at you!
I sent a little trash talking video to my friends. It just had the game behind me. I said, "I'm back," and they were like, "Oh, here we go, here we go." Whenever I build my teams, I try to get some height outside and some length outside. You're thinking the good old Richard Sherman. You're thinking, Brandon Browner. Those type of corners that can slow some things down, let that pressure go to work, and then you have everybody else like Earl Thomas flying around creating havoc. So, yeah, it's gonna be a fun thing. Let's see how this Rasoul Douglas signing goes.
Yeah, I got to be careful too. Every time I say Rasoul, I think Butler, right?
So Rasoul Butler, man. Shout out Rasoul Butler.
Right. So I'm going old school here. So yeah, Rasoul Douglas. So to make sure I'm not throwing people off here when we're talking about that. So Rasoul Douglas, though. But again, last year, like for a guy who was on a bad defense, right? Miami wasn't very good. They traded away, of course, Jalen Phillips to the Eagles, which made me sick, and moved on some of their good players as the season went on. He was still like a PFF, I think, like just under 73, and had a couple picks, 9 pass breakups, just 54% completion allowed, which is good. And then, passer rating was only 72.6 thrown at him, which is not a great passer rating either. So overall, pretty good stuff from him. And again, we've seen him play at a high level. And you said something I really didn't think about. I'm just thinking depth. I'm thinking, role, what have you. But yeah, man, what if he has to start, right? Yeah. Would you feel comfortable with that? Sure. I mean, if you're looking – because again, throughout his career, he has been a starter in a lot of stops and a lot of different defenses. So yeah, I think it was a solid move from the commander standpoint. And again, it was the biggest deficiency on the roster, looking at it on paper, which was the corner position coming out of minicamp. So glad they addressed it going to training camp.
Rasoul Butler, rest in peace. He passed away in a car wreck 8 years ago. So
wow.
Rest in peace. Yeah, didn't know that.
Did not know that. I don't remember that either. That's horrible. By the way, we're Bleav Commanders podcast brought to you by FanDuel, part of the Bleav Network. Scott Jackson, Anthony Armstrong here with you as we record on the eve of the big USA-Belgium World Cup game. That World Cup got a lot of headlines this weekend on the field, off the field, and in the stands. World Cup action did, where Jayden Daniels was in L.A. watching some of the action, and there was a 49er fan that filmed him while he chanted F Aiyuk to Jayden. And as they say, it kind of went viral. As Jayden was kind of laughing at the guy, just playing along with it. I mean, what is he going to do? Like, stop talking about my friend. I mean, what did people want him to do? Apparently, I don't know. Whatever he did, it wasn't enough for Brandon, because Brandon then did his own post, and I don't even know what to make of it anymore, Anthony. I was going to walk off the set last week if we had to talk about this anymore. I'm so tired of Insta Aiyuk, but I don't know. What do you make of it? Did he cross a line when he made some of the comments about his quarterback and shared again private conversations, perhaps, or private texts about him, Jayden telling him to stop talking, and he's like, if he's going to be a part of our team or whatever that was, and then of course bringing his mother up, Jayden's mom up, and about him running behind his mom. I mean, did he cross a line finally where some of these Aiyuk fanboys in our Commanderland fan base are going to jump off the bandwagon, or is this all part of the great act they think that is going on? Because Brandon Aiyuk is this wonderful actor, as many of them have been telling me. He's part of he's going to be a WWE star down the road as well. Yeah. Right now, he's probably got a better chance of that than being a receiver in the NFL on another team. Because he, of course, has not asked for reinstatement and is still on the did not report list. So what do you make of it? Help me out here. Somebody who's been in locker rooms and knows all this stuff. Is this all just part of a fun little back and forth, or is there more to it? Oh, yeah, and they both unfollowed one another on social media.
Yeah, there was a whole thing back in college where they say there's only a couple things that were going to get you in a fight. And that was if you talked about somebody's mom, you said they were sorry on the game, or you said they were sorry, like they weren't very good at their sport. That was it. Okay. And frankly, this is one of the ones where you're like, dang, why'd you go there? Bringing up Miss Jackson. But then you see folks going around saying, well, maybe this is how they troll each other. And kids nowadays, they cross lines. Yeah, I'm an unk now. They would call me unk. You're unk too, damn it, Scott. We're both in there
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We're unks and so on.
Yeah.
And it's perfectly fine. There's certain lines that wouldn't be crossed. And so to me, it seems like that's a bit much. But I also know in today's day and age, it could be all part of the game. You know what I mean? It could be all part of it. Let's get the smoke off of it. But I'll say, if I set all that aside, like, the guy yelling at Jayden, I think he was really more upset about, I don't know if he was frustrated about the red card getting banned or unsuspended or whatever, but like, what do you want Jayden to do, right? What
do you think he was going to do?
What do you want him to do? And
he's a drunk Niners fan. He didn't care.
Jayden smiles in people's face. It's 30 seconds left in the game. He's smiling at the defensive tackle, about to throw the ball and drop a dime on somebody and steal your heart. That was a YouTube video I saw. The guy was like, man, you don't understand how motivated you made Jayden for week 6 on Monday Night Football. But, I don't think you can't really expect Jayden to do anything in that moment.
Sure.
And sure, Brandon could want his quarterback to defend him at that time, but it's like that Jayden's a cool, calm character. It's a cool, calm character. Where we thought we were going to have no fireworks, we got some anyways. And it just continues to go back to say, the antics don't match what you're building, right? I need my quarterback to be focusing on this new playbook. And he can go to World Cup all you want, but I don't need to have the drama on the outside. You get what I mean?
Right. I don't need him to be a Instagram star as my quarterback, or part of the other Instagram star teammates bits, or whatever the hell we want to call these things, these vignettes or whatever they are that are going on. It just doesn't. Does it make, at the end of the day, does it make the Commanders better? That's what you got to ask yourself. Is our team better because of all this outside noise with a guy, by the way, who's not even on our team? Like the main culprit of all this that is creating all this nonsense is not on the team right now. And we don't even know if he will be ever in a position to get to the team this season, right? I mean, because there's, again, a lot of, reporting going on about how the 49ers could really drag this thing to the lowest of levels if they want to, and go after the money, all the money that has been spent for the most part, and get it back. And Who knows? I mean, if it's still in his closet in that bag of his, I don't know if he could give it back if he needed to. I don't know. I really have no idea what to make out of it. All I know is he just, again, every day I would have to ask myself, am I helping myself get a step closer to what I really want, which is free agency? And the answers are always no, maybe even harder no's. He's just making it more challenging for himself, every single day. And if he's just playing to an audience of one franchise, like some of our fans have sleuthed out for us, that he doesn't care about the other, if he looks crazy or whatever. It's all just a game to him. And the Commanders, because Adam Peters knows him, because he's, he was part of the draft process with him, and Jayden, played with him in 2019 and still friends with him, so they know better than anybody. But that's fine. But how about the rest of the guys in the locker room? They're like, what is this nonsense? I mean, like, they don't know him. Like, a lot of guys don't know him at all. Yeah. Dan Quinn doesn't know him. I mean, the other coaches don't know him. They're like, what the hell is this? And again, is this something we need to bring into our team? And of course, the other small point that we always overlook is he hasn't played in a year and a half. You know how that goes. Guys coming back from injury after a few games, let alone a year, but a year and a half, man. Let's see how it goes,
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. I mean, I don't know. There's been a lot of flexibility and laxness in the eval of everybody waving off red flags and stuff. Like, oh, don't worry about that. That's his homeboy. It just makes you think of, like, whenever you do pull up with somebody to an event, and then it's like a friend from the crib, right? Somebody that's way in your past. And then he show up around everybody, and he's like, dude, a little different. You know what I mean? Like, what's up with your boy? And it's just one of those. It's just one of those questions. They're like, nah, man, he cool, man. Like, that's now you have to explain yourself. But I don't know. We got to focus on the folks who are here, the receivers that are here. And the cool thing that I saw, the number one receiver in Washington, Terry McLaurin, is closing in on surpassing Santana Moss for all-time receiving yards with the Commanders Washington football organization. How cool. And he's like 900 and some odd, right around his average, right around what Terry normally does. Right. That's what he has to get for on the season. So let me ask you this. Yeah. What week do you think Terry McLaurin will pass Santana Moss?
So it was 900, you said?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact
so I think it's
thing.
Okay, if that's the case, I think we're looking at in week that could happen in like week 14, week 13, something like that. I think that's what you're probably looking at around that standpoint. And again, I'm holding I'm assuming he's healthy, right? Assuming David Bleav is going to be true to his word, the 10 to 12 targets or whatever was the number that he had during minicamp or whenever the availability was that he said in the offseason. So I'm holding them all to all that stuff. So if that all ends up being true, I think Terry's going to have some big chunk games. And I think you're looking at, early teens for that. I think we talked about him earlier being a guy we thought would surpass. It was kind of a low number, right? It was 9 something for the year, right? They didn't even have him at 1,000 for the season. Yeah. To me, I think, we're looking at something similar to a couple seasons ago where he's 12 to 1,400 in that category in terms of
frankly, looking at FanDuel right now, they don't even got Terry on this list. How y'all do that? How did y'all go from having him on there and they took him off? So I put Terry.
Maybe they're still trying to reevaluate it because of Ayukagram or Insta Aiyuk potentially being on the team. I don't know. Maybe they're holding it back because of that. They don't want people jumping in on early, in case that changes. I don't know. That's a great question. Why? And I don't know why they often maybe have to reevaluate those things. But that is interesting to think about. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think for you? I mean, do you think it's something that he knocks out of the park early, or is it later in the season, end of the week, end of the year? I mean,
I want it to be done by week 8, man. I want it to be done by the bye. That's kind of crazy.
Week 6.
Just get that sucker out of the way.
Dang it. Yeah.
Oh man, but no, I kind of agree with you on that week 10. I had pulled up the schedule. Week 10 is a Thursday night matchup at the New York Giants. The week prior is against the Rams, so you're looking at a Trent McDuffie and everything the Rams have built up. So maybe that ain't the week. But then 11-1-1-1-1 is a Sunday night matchup against the Eagles. So that would be a good one too. Week 8.
He's always tended to have some pretty good games against them.
Yeah, he could go on a tear. Nice. You know what I mean? He could really just tear it up. You know what I mean? Tear it up. Then you got that Monday night game late November against Cincinnati and then Arizona. So, November, December is probably when it happens. But that'll be pretty cool, man. And on top of that, there was that other list that we came across at clutch points.
Yeah.
Are we going to do that now?
Let's do that in our next episode. I want to talk. Let's do that in the next episode.
Since we talk
all-time Redskin commanders of all time. We'll do it in our next episode. Please like, comment, and follow us. Again, Bleav in Commanders. He's at Rated Armstrong on the X and on the Instagram. I'm at Jackson Sports on the X, at Real Jackson Sports on the Instagram. Don't look for us to do any funny videos ripping each other and talking about each other's mamas. Well, not anytime soon, but I don't know. Maybe it goes viral. Maybe we should be. Maybe we're missing out. Maybe that's our fault. I don't know. We maybe need to start reevaluating that.
Who knows, man? Everything feels like a wrestling bit nowadays. You know what I mean? Like I used to have to go on just believing mankind walked around like that all the time. Mick Foley always had that mask on. That's just how I believed it. You know what I mean?
So yeah. Well, anyway, Bleav in Commanders. Like, comment, and follow us. We appreciate you, part of the Bleav Network. Again, join us for our next episode. We look at the all-time greatest Redskins and Commanders as we try to break that team down for you. For Anthony Armstrong, number 13, I'm Scott Jackson. Until next time, thanks for joining us here on Bleav in Commanders, brought to you by FanDuel.